if you could read this, if you're not able to read, I'll read it out for you. It says, please update your payment details. This is to Andrew, my targeted attack, and I'm creating this phishing email, and I'm sending it to him. It's been delivered, okay? Okay, I'll continue. So I'm that audible, okay, good. Yeah, so now he receives this email, okay, and this is an HTA attack, okay. In HTA attack, I'm actually trying to lure him to actually click on this. I was audible, right? Yeah, you were. Okay. You were. So, mic or not mic. So now I'm thinking, or I'm assuming that he'll click onto that link, okay, where he will update his account, and there would be a pop-up which will be actually followed. If you see, this is the gibberish. I tried my best to actually replicate Netflix, but at one point of time it did not do, but it actually gave me a launcher HTA, an HTA attack. Okay, this is a file which actually can download and give me the connection, right? But there are human errors done by most of the people, right, in our staff, where they are most fond of Amazon, Netflix and all. They try to actually click on those and try to see what happens next. By defining the laws of their organization, seeing that, maybe this will help me or this will take me to some other page, but they don't understand that this will actually, is a great loss for their organization if they get compromised, isn't it? So what happens here is that if this launcher HTA has been by some reason, if he is not tech savvy, it's been clicked, the user does not know that the session has been already created. A session on the victim side is already created. Now we are talking about such users which actually ignores, and we actually is a tendency of clicking, right? We can get those kind of users using security awareness programs. When we run them, we can actually get such kind of users who actually try to click on each and every page. Such kind of users actually, go beyond and click, and when that happens, they don't know what's happening at the back end. Now, if you can show me, Fauzan, what is the information on the other hand that we are getting? So with simple command, I'm getting some sort of sessions on the hacker side, and I'm trying to analyze if that session is very legitimate or not, right? So when I do some sysinfo, I'm able to actually get the information of that other computer, where it says that it's a Windows 10 machine, it's an x64-bit, and x86, and it's a work group. It's an enumeration of an artifact that I'm able to actually get it, right? Now, on the other hand, okay, now there is one more attack. Now imagine in this scenario, okay, where, if you could actually show me, Fauzan, the other attack, which actually, without running the launcher HTA, where we can run the PowerShell, bind it to a document, okay. I'm sending a document, okay, in this scenario. This gentleman is traveling from one place to another place. He has updated his post on Facebook, and now I understand this guy is tech savvy. He will never click on an HTA or download that particular phase. So now I have to weaponize my second attempt. My second attempt is where I am actually understanding what is his need and information updated, what is his current status, and then he is actually traveling and he has booked an airline. Okay, so what I do is actually again craft and phishing email with a document stating it's an itinerary. Okay, when he runs that itinerary at the back end, that PowerShell actually runs without popping any message to him. He just need to enable his macros. So can you show that, Fauzan? Okay, so you can see that it's your urgent confirmation is needed, and this is your itinerary. But to his surprise, when he tries to open it, without any pop-up, he is able to get another session. So the second attempt is more convincing, isn't it? For an hacker, his second attempt actually went through. So this is the pain that hacker actually goes through in order to actually get the access or get to his goal. It's not that easy that we see in movies and all, that he clicks something or types something, he goes somewhere and he does something. No, it is a process with the right time, with the right tool, that you enter and you come back. If you leave your tails, if you leave your footprints behind, then you can easily be caught, right? So in fact, hacking is also a tough job, and at the same time, protecting to it is also a tough job. Fauzan, we lost you actually. Okay. Now, with this particular attack, I'm trying to do an UAC, which is user access privilege. Okay. I'm trying to get the control. Now, in this scenario, I know that the privileges that I have is not enough to actually to get some data like credential theft, right? If I need to actually, steal some data, I'm interested in stealing his password, his username. I want to get into his SAM directory, but with this, I'm not be able to do it. Okay. So what I do is I see what else can I do here. Okay, so now my question was, well, while we were leaving vulnerability manager, what we use or what we are implementing, is it good enough just scanning your report and giving to the management, or is it, or you being a CISO, you have a vulnerability report, will that give you any help? Most of the organizations, they go with the bigger brand. Okay, brands like Tenable, Rapid7, there are bigger brands which are available in the market, which actually tells you that how to use a vulnerability manager, isn't it? But at the same time, if you see that hacker is one step ahead with you, because once he get the access, he can actually give you the more positive way of vulnerabilities that is actually found in the computer, which is exploitable. But at the same time, when you see that with the vulnerability scanner, a pre-known vulnerability manager, you just get some reports, port 45, port 135, 137, 445. But what good it is to you? Is it actually very exploitable? Because it comes under 10 top vulnerability reports to you, isn't it? So will you as a penetration tester, or will you as a blue team, okay, will be able to see it as a false positive? Or is it really an exploit? But as an hacker, I am able to actually run an exploit within his computer, and I'm able to actually find one of the exploit, okay, one of the exploit which is actually exploitable. There are like 4 to 5 exploits which is actually showing you. If you could read this, I'll read it through for you. See this from the top: exploit Windows local bypass UAC event viewer. Okay, that target appears to be vulnerable. This sort of information you will not find at the vulnerability manager. Why? There are reasons to that. Okay, there is one more to it. There is something called bypass UAC food helper. The target appears to be again vulnerable. Okay, that means it can be exploited. We can test that. It is telling you it's 100% vulnerable. Again, you have one more. If you see the last one, it says that the secondary logon handle privilege sec. Okay, the server is missing but could not be validated. Okay, it could not be validated. That means it's 50-50 that you might or might not be able to actually get, because the master machine is actually disconnected or does not have the information. Now let's move on. Yeah, if I can run actually the exploit again, I got like 4 or 5 sessions. I'm trying to exploit each and every session and see if I'm able to get the user escalation with more privileges. Let's see if it actually happens or not. So we got one more session. It's called session 6. So you imagine hacker actually trying his level best, his skills to get the access. Now you could see I have the UAC access now. That means I will be able to actually get into credentials, the SAM database. Now on the other hand, I have a system. The victim is doing its work, but he does not know what is happening at the end. So this is how it happens in a real-time scenario. This is how actually hackers spend time in your system, try to do several attacks, persistent attacks. You know, if I lose my connection also, at one point of time, I need to get it back also. Okay, one-time connection is not good for me. I'm missing something. So hackers actually try to make it very persistent. So whenever you get into internet connectivity, it tries to get the sessions. Okay, so you have all those things in your antivirus, but you don't configure it or you don't understand it. Okay, and one fine day something happens like this, then you actually start investigating, but it's too late for you, right? Now imagine we are actually doing a key logging. He's trying to, the victim is trying to actually put in some information like his email and password. Okay. Now this is another way of stealing. This is called like man in the middle attack again with getting your keystrokes, key logs. Okay. So he's typing his email ID. He's typing his password. Okay. I've started the keystroke on this particular meter session. Okay. And if I do key scan dump, okay, hopefully I should get, see if I could get what he was typing. As of now, on that particular page, I know his password, I know what he was actually trying to put in the email ID. So this is called key logs. Okay, I am trying to sniff the key logs by using some commands from Kali Linux. So once I have the session, there are numerous things that a hacker can do. He can in fact actually download a file. Fauzan, can you show me how I can actually download a file without knowing the victim know that I am actually doing something on his behind? Okay, I'm in system 32 directory as of now. So if you could see that I was able to download a particular file, just for the example that I was trying to download zipcontainer.dll and it is actually downloaded in my loot. Okay, if you could see, I was easily able to download. Now imagine here he does not know anything and we are actually downloading it. So this is how serious it is, when we are working for an organization or you are working for your own organization. Security at each and every level is quite important. Okay, now moving on. Now let's say if I want to get the credentials of this computer, how should I actually do that? Okay, let's see, if I put hashdump, I'm able to get the normal hashes where I can use any kind of website to paste the hashes and get the password. Okay, this is the traditional way of doing it, isn't it? Now we will actually try to migrate to the process and see if we are able to get the hashdump or not. So we are migrating to a process which is having almost near like search indexer, which has the option to index, and that's the power of that particular resource that can be equal to your hash dumping. That would be equal to your SAM database. So we have successfully migrated. Let's see if the hash dump works. I was easily able to get the hash dumps, but for me as a hacker, I am a little bit advanced, so I want to know the tools that are already readily available. So rather than copy pasting, see, at least I know these are the names. Okay, Angela, David, default account, guest, Sangfor, and these hashes are nothing but their password. Okay, but now let's do a more the upbeat way. Let's actually load Kiwi, which is an inbuilt tool of Kali Linux. Okay, now there is a magical command. If I type that, I will be able to get their passwords. Okay, so let's type that command here. Now, if you see back, we actually have the users, okay, and their passwords. So Sangfor was the user who is actually logged in as of now, and his domain is blue team, okay, and his password is admin@123. So this is how easy for a hacker with the right tool, with the right techniques, with the right mindset, he will be able to penetrate into your network, into a PC where it has less defense mechanism, will be able to get any information, download the information, get the key logs for you. Okay. In fact, he can open your screen, live streaming can be also done. So this happens in real, it's not a myth, it happens, and it is why we actually encourage our customers that it's not only our duty, but it's your duty to get empowered, have the right skills so that you can actually act as blue team, okay, and you are prepared for such scenarios. Okay, now my colleague is trying to actually do a screenshot, I think, but he lost one session, okay, and now there is something called persistent attack also at the same time, isn't it? What is persistent? It is like whenever I want to get an attack or a session, I should be able to get it, isn't it? So if you have a persistent attack, whenever I get connected to your internet, I will be able to actually get it, okay? Now, if you case it, this is the desktop also that I was able to get. Maybe he was typing something on the notepad or somewhere, something important. I was able to get the screenshot of the desktop also. Now here nothing pops up, nothing is actually been displayed, nothing's happening. Okay, the user is continuing, he's going on his lunch break, coming back. Okay, his PC is on, he had just put the lock. But at the back end, through shell, I'm able to do a lot of stuff, isn't it? So that is why we say that create an SOP. If your cPanel also asks you to actually, exempt him, but have it properly documented and have it properly secured so that in near future, if something happens, IT people are not Superman, isn't it? No matter how much you learn or I learn, or no matter how much defensive security that we try to actually put into the place, is it? No one can guarantee you that it would be 100%, okay, if someone says he's actually doing a false claim. Okay, so if to give in the benefit of doubt that your security is not 100%, it is always good to actually create some documents. At least you should know what is happening and what needs to be implemented, maybe at the C level, maybe at your backward compatible machines, so that in near future you are an IT guy and something happens, the blame will come on to you. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Now, we have heard about encryption, we have heard about ransomware also at the same time, isn't it? Okay, now in this demonstration, okay, we are actually going to show you in real time how the encryption happens. Okay, if you don't have a proper mechanism in place, okay, this is one of the exploit. Ransomware is one of the exploit, isn't it? There are a lot of exploits in the market. Okay, recently there is a new extension of ransomware which was actually been highlighted. I think one of my friend here who is here, I think he actually guided us to one of the company in Egypt, and they were actually they went through that process of ransomware, but that particular file extension that did not have a decryptor because it was very new in the market. Okay, and when you run that particular file on VirusTotal or any TI, threat intelligence, okay, it could not actually verify whether it was verified or it was actually been bypassed. So in this scenario, if you actually go through any ransomware attack, there are decryptors available throughout. There is a project called No Ransomware. Okay, in that project, if you want to write it down, you can write it down. There's something called No Ransomware. You can find over 1,000 of decryptors, but those decryptors that has been already proven, or those extensions were already there in the market. Okay, but apart from anything which is very new, neither we can help you, neither you can do anything. There are only two ways. Either you actually outsmart him by going into registries, which will again be a tiredness job, because at the end of the day your business continuity is getting affected. So you need to have plan B also, like backup solutions and all that can actually do reverse to such kind of damage, and it can actually create a disaster and HA availability kind of help. So this is plan B. Now back then backup was not considered that critical, but as of now backup solutions, DR solutions, HA is part of your security profile. Okay, Now, my colleague is waiting here to do encryption, which is nothing but a ransomware attack. At the other end, you have files like, license agreement, password, you have some cybersecurity controls, you have vault actually code, vault code where you have actually passwords in that. So there is some useful information and critical information at the same time. Imagine if I run encrypt, what happens? Okay. Now the process of encryption, as you and me know that, if I have to encrypt, okay, for a human to encrypt, the frequency of encryption is like it will take up to, I can do maybe my best would be like around 10 files I can encrypt. But if I run an algorithm or a script, it will be much more faster. Okay, so in that course of time, if your antivirus is able to actually stop it and revert all your files, okay, and stop that encryption, okay, because the encryption that happens is faster than we think, and in that time your C drive, your D drive is getting encrypted. But if your antivirus is fair enough and good enough, it will try to actually stop it, and it will try to revert those files which were encrypted. Okay, so now we are seeing that once we run the encryption, okay, this should actually get it, the extension would be something called owned. Okay, if my antivirus, which is inbuilt antivirus, is at least have, because nowadays if you talk about, in fact Windows Defender is actually leading the chart in Gartner. Okay, it is also doing a pretty good job in actually securing it, right? But at the end of the day, what sort of techniques is it using? Is it better than the other security vendors which has been there in the market? Much more in the market, like like Kaspersky, Sangfor and all. They are much more time memorial in the market, and they have been actually practicing it, right? So what information they have and what information Microsoft has, there is a very, thick line, not a thin line. So we need to understand that also at the same time. So what we are trying to do is here, we are trying to encrypt that. Now imagine if I run this encryption. I think my colleague is trying to actually get the session back again to actually run the encryption. Now when he was running the encryption, the internal defense system of Microsoft, it was actually trying to kill the session. Okay, so the hacker at the other time, he is actually trying to get the session by any means. Okay, he's not losing his confidence or he's not losing his cool. He is actually trying to get the session back, and he is determined to actually encrypt that. This is how it happens in the row, right? We might think he's actually on a coffee break, okay, but on the other side, he is doing his level best to actually destroy your quality coffee time. Once he comes back and once he finds that it's been encrypted, then he's actually in a big problem, right? So we are in a process of trying to actually run the document, and let's see what happens next. Now, if I may ask, while he's trying to actually, get this session, if I may ask if you have heard about any sort of new attacks or new variant of ransomware recently or anywhere in your organization, which actually you can correlate. Recently, anyone who has actually came across any kind of such kind of exploit of variants recently? Not necessarily should be ransomware. It could be anything. Anything which is actually, might have actually, caused the business continuity where it was actually stopped at.
The last Outlook,
365 issue, yes, of course. And then followed with that, there was IS server issue also been reported from Microsoft, isn't it? And the most famous one was Log4Shell, which was your exploit for your Linux and Ubuntu, isn't it? For your VNC servers also at the same time. Okay, so as we come here, as we come back to the screen, okay, what we are trying to see is we have a certain policy, okay, and it is trying to stop that. Okay, Sangfor we have lowered the Sangfor. So far, it was able to actually give us such access where we have actually put the security level to nil, isn't it? Now, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to make sure that as of now, run encryption attack, when we have enabled the Sangfor EDR, it should actually kill the processes, it should kill the encryption at the same time, it should actually revert back all those files. Okay, if you see that Meterpreter 7 shell has been closed, encryption was detected here. It was a script called PowerShell.exe, okay, and it is asking you proactively to block it, because PowerShells are legitimate scripts. You might run it for various reasons, but at the end of the day, it is actually thinking that this PowerShell script needs to be blocked. Okay, but there is a setting, again with a lot of antivirus, where you can enforce them to block it. Okay, as of now, just for the demonstration, we have lowered the levels of Sangfor, and we are actually trying to show you that how Sangfor, when it's been installed, it is actually using its technique like PowerShell, Code Cave. It is trying to make it more reliable, and it is trying to kill the session in progress. So imagine this guy has Sangfor EDR in his place, okay, and the encryption was going on, and we have enabled Sangfor EDR, okay, with less kind of security levels. We have created a separate group called C-level group, okay, and there the Sangfor levels has been decreased, but still at the end of the day, Sangfor is trying to close some of your sessions. Again, it is trying to get hold of the security. At the same time, it is trying to kill all those sessions. Now see, this particular payload which we binded, okay, this was again binded with PowerShell. Okay, now though you have enabled the macros, Sangfor was easily be able to detect those scripts, and it was able to stop it. Okay, and once we put that okay, it will actually go into the isolation also if there are a lot of damages made to that customer or to that particular victim. Okay, so these are, imagine if this was sent, okay, without a proper defense mechanism like a PO to your finance department, okay, to issue the money, and if we were click that and there was no proper what you call the defensive mechanism in place, your accountant would have thought that this is a legitimate PO from a legitimate domain. He would have clicked it, and boom, he could have got the access. Okay. Now there are customers who are also using, I've seen a lot of customers who are using 2008 R2, 2008 Microsoft 2007, Outlook 2007 also. Okay, but you need to understand why there is a need for updates. Now what we are trying to do is, we are trying to also stress testing, where we are also trying to do real-time ICAR download from the ICAR website and see that it is able to actually block the compounded shell files. Okay, so it was easily able to find that there was an ICAR text file and it was infectious. It is categorized as infectious under virus category, and it has been blocked. So whenever we talk about antiviruses, it's our duty to actually make sure that the stress test of level that we do. Okay, maybe if you don't have that mechanism, what we can do is we can actually help you come into your premises, and we can, if it's a cloud-based environment, you can download that in our environment, and we can actually test that for you the way that we are doing as of now. Okay, where you can actually see if there are any bypass or any configuration which were missed, okay, and you can actually fix it. Okay, or if there is any exception to it, how we can actually revert to it. If there are any vulnerabilities which we are able to find through post exploitation, you can actually we can help you, let us know that they are false positive or really that is there in your network. I can create a zombie bot. I can do an amplified attack to you at the same time, isn't it? There is a bot which is sitting inside. This is an outbound traffic, but he's not doing, the movement is lateral, it's not vertical, right? So at the same time, if you do a stress testing, this is how penetration testing actually, have different test cases. So if you have to do this, if there is a lateral movement with the bot, so again, your antivirus has the ability to actually identify those bots, which are, again, they are just simply bots, okay? Their main purpose is to actually give connections, okay, to your CNC, C2C, which is command and control, which is nothing but my Kali Linux machine. Okay, so at the end of the day, your endpoint, how fully is it protecting you? So what you have witnessed so far is that, imagine this can be a practice. This is very new in the market, but you can actually try to create such kind of environment where there is blue teaming and red teaming. Okay, where we as red teaming can actually come into the picture, but it involves lot of other test cases. Okay, not only just doing something off the line, but off the hook, I can actually try to penetrate in your access point and see if there is a vulnerability. One way of getting it. Second way, the gentleman said he is a guest and he actually come into your network. I'm able to scan in a similar way. Right? What resources needs to be attached? What access this particular person needs to be given? What is he? Is in an IT? Is in accounts? What needs to be implemented properly? All those things we can have to actually create a roadmap for security. The purpose of showing this in real time is that this actually happens, and it happened to many customers, but no one knows how it actually been executed. So this was the whole idea of showing you the demonstration of keeping Sangfor EDR as your defensive mechanism. Okay, if you have any questions, actually we can call it a day. We have actually shown most of the attacks. There are, again, in our coming seminar, we'll show you persistent attack using shelter, how we can actually create your putty, your tool called putty, which you use as an IT in daily life. We can actually bind it with our script. Okay, we can actually encapsulate it. Okay, and we can actually add padding values so that any antivirus should evade that particular putty, and we should get the connections back. So in our coming seminars or in our webinars, we'll be also showing you that. So for today, this was a short demonstration in how in live and hackers actually thinks about you, how he plans about you, and how executes the weapons against you. And on the other side, if you don't have a proper mechanism and you are actually doing it and you don't know what's happening at your back end, at least there should be some sort of defensive mechanism that should actually give you or highlight your pop-ups. Any questions so far?
Can you give the session at the firewall level?
At the firewall level, yes, at the firewall level, if you know the exact port number, you can kill it. But my ports that are going out could be of different. As you know that I could come through from 166.5.7 to any port I can come and go, isn't it? So for a firewall, it will be very difficult. Unless and until I know which service or which particular program it's running. So your first line of defense for such kind of attacks should be your endpoint. So what firewall usually does is it detects. Okay, or it pinpoints to which host, but the killing purpose needs to be done from your endpoint level.
The most common way the attacker is trying to get into through your email, right? Okay, so can we stop the email in this endpoint?
See, for email,
We are having this Sangfor firewall. Okay, it could stop they have the ability to stop the email. But in this endpoint, how could we stop that email?
See, when we say that, yes, of course. I mean, what you are saying is rightly, actually most of us will agree to it. Our business core continuity or business protection is with emails.
We cannot stop it.
Yeah, that is our communication way of dealing with the outside world. Or to actually, you are actually doing a protective work with email. This is your business.
Yeah, the application we can stop it through the firewall, like Netflix and YouTube, all that things we can stop. But the email, that is the main process.
So as you could see, as of now, what we were doing is, there was a phishing email sent to him, okay? But who is doing the filtering for you? Here we have actually shown you a way where they don't have an email gateway, isn't it? So your email gateway comes into picture, tries to analyze your DMARC record, your SPF record, and tries to see if it's coming from a safer domain or not. What is the IP repetition to it? And then it filters and it gives you all those activities, right? But again, your email gateway also will have the ability to actually put that into text file. If that link is suspicious and is doing and sandboxing, okay, with how we are doing. Sandboxing is nothing but I'm testing in a virtual environment, I'm getting the verdict because I'm not sure about it, isn't it? Right? So your email gateway does that all, filtering your emails. But for some reason you don't have an email gateway, but you have an endpoint mechanism, right? It is actually through, now if I click on that link, what should be my component actually stopping it? Endpoint, inside endpoint, what are the components? There are a lot of components, right? It is actually pointing me to behavior analysis and your web control. So if you see in your endpoint, there is IPS, host IPS, there is heuristic and behavior analysis, there is web component, okay, there is device control, there is real-time protection, which is access control. So which component is doing? At that point of time, when you are making exclusions, okay, which we don't recommend, okay, it is always good to keep your ERP and your systems upbeat, okay, because you could see now even any known vendor, because we don't actually say that this vendor is good or that vendor is good. When we test for ourselves, we actually get the conference, we present to you, we get partnered with that particular vendor, isn't it? So at the end of the day, there are a lot of known vendors. Again, they have bypass authentication, SSH authentication vulnerabilities, isn't it? And though you have a vulnerability in place, you don't know what vulnerability you are actually trying to seek or try to patch it. If you patch it also, the problem is that your machine or your ERP will not work, or your software will not work. Okay, and then if you try to install an antivirus, maybe on Windows 7 or Windows XP, your antivirus will not install, or you get TLL errors, pop-up errors, isn't it? So now what to do in that scenario? That is the best way of doing it, having an updated system with a proper antivirus, okay, which can actually provide you the complete. And then you need to know which component is doing what, which feature is doing what. And then it is always recommended, especially with server side, that you actually provide proper exclusions. If you don't do proper exclusions on your servers, you might end up in a big trouble. And believe me, when we do implementations, okay, and this is the best practice which has been prescribed by industry, that you need to know your servers, you need to know your service packs, you need to know what services they are running, which is related to your business. Okay, I cannot simply go ahead and install anything on your computer or any rendering server or anywhere. The antivirus is your first line of defense, and it has many components which acts as your first line of defense. So it's very crucial that you understand what needs to be installed and how to be installed. Any further questions so far?
Can you say something about the process hijacking during the demo you mentioned?
Yes. Now, why I was doing process hijacking is I would say that, if I have to ask, what is the purpose of process hijacking?
To take over an intermediate process which is running and then probably get the control of it.
That particular process has some escalations. Okay, that has some user access that I'm trying to actually get. Not in normal cases, when we are trying to do process migration or process hijacking, okay, it actually fails because that process is protected by your antivirus, right? At the end of the day, every antivirus, as of now, what we talk about, they have something called mitigate process hijacking to overcome the UAC level.